Well, good Saturday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here and let's wake up the football gods here on this Saturday morning. Hope everybody is doing good. Hope you guys are going to enjoy your Memorial weekend, and make sure you remember what this weekend is really about. It's not about stuffing your pie hole with a bunch of hamburgers and hot dogs. It's about remembering those who are no longer here that have made the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. And I say from the bottom of my heart, to all of you who no longer are here and those who are here serving as well, thank you very much for what you do. So here we are. You know, it's so funny to me, or you know, it's almost biased when you start listening to and reading some of the articles and things out there with all of the doom and gloom for the Cowboys because we lost because CD is now our number one. We lost Amari Cooper. We lost Lyle Collins. We lost Connor Williams. We lost Cedric Wilson. And they say that the Cowboys have taken a step back. Their Super Bowl window is closing, that they're just not going to be that good of a team. But the thing that's kind of mystifying to me is, why don't they say that about Kansas City, who lost Tyreek Hill? You know, you have to look at KC, and KC, who went to the Super Bowl and won, went to the next Super Bowl, and then, you know, AFC Championship, and losing Tyreek Hill, that you have to say maybe they're on the way down, that maybe their repeat of a Super Bowl championship is going downhill. I saw this article this morning that said that the Cowboys can't keep up with the NFC elites. Well, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure when you look at the Rams that just won the Super Bowl, that they don't have the Super Bowl hangover. You know what I mean? You get there, very rarely, unless it's New England, do we see teams going back-to-back and winning, especially in the NFC. So I'm not sure that the Rams are going to be there where they were last year. Like I said, you lose focus. You had Sean McVay actually contemplating retiring and getting married. I think about the 49ers, who seem to have a great year, and then they follow it up with a year that's not so good. They go to the Super Bowl, and then they kind of come back down to earth. That kind of thing. So it may be conceivable that that happens to them. As far as the Green Bay Packers go, Green Bay, if you say that the Cowboys are going to be hurting because they lost Amari Cooper, how can you not say that Aaron Rodgers, who, you know, we're finding out more and more that some of those guys don't really like him. I mean, you saw Randall Cobb kind of rolling his eyes there on courtside. He's one of his best receivers, and he's under 500 yards receptions last year. They lose Devontae Adams. That is a major blow to the offense. He is literally over 33% of the receiving yards. How can you not say that Green Bay won't take a step back? Tampa Bay may be losing Gronk. Tom Brady at some time has to hit the wall. Now, I would agree with the statement of not being able to keep up with the AFC elites, because you look at the AFC where you've got the power shift, where you've got the Russell Wilson that goes to Denver. You know, you've got all of these great players that have now gone to the AFC. You look at the AFC West, and thank God we're not playing them this year. And quite frankly, the Cowboys' record, excuse me, those hot wings are still kicking my ass. The Cowboys' record in the NFC last year was pretty good. We went toe for toe against Tampa Bay before our defense started to gel. Just say it. We did go to New England and finally win a game there in New England, something that we had not done against Bill Belichick. We dominated our division. I know we lost a couple of players, but it's funny because it's not like those guys are the only guys that can play football. You've got other people that can come along and play well as well. So we have to look at it from that standpoint of saying, yeah, true, you lost Lyle Collins, but you know what? Terrence Steele may end up being a better player. You know, you can look at it and say, yeah, we lost Connor Williams, but Tyler Smith, the rookie first-round draft pick, may be better than Connor Williams. We could go through and look and say, yeah, we lost Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was good half of the games a year. Maybe we get a guy who's good 3/4 of the games a year. And maybe that ends up being just at least a wash. And we don't take into account things like Dak Prescott being literally on one leg and one arm last season without having an offseason with his players. This year, he's got some zip on the ball. His body's healed. And generally speaking, when you have major surgery, it takes you a year to get over that surgery for your body to really and truly recover. And to think that everybody who says that Zeke Elliott is washed up, he still rushed for 1,000 yards. And they say, well, you know, he was still, you know, top 6 running back. They say, oh, well, yeah, you know, well, guys like Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry, they were injured. They would have beat him if they weren't injured, but they were injured. They didn't survive the season. He played all 17 games, and that's why he had more yards than they did. And considering that he played 13 of those games with a tore PCL in his knee is actually a testament to the tenacity and the grit that the guy has. Now, we've got the debate on if he should be benched or if Tony Pollard should be the starter. Tony Pollard should have a bigger role in things. You know, the thing is with Tony Pollard that I worry about is I don't think you can make him a every down back. I don't think his body will hold up for him. And I believe part of the reason why his numbers are as big as it is because of the way he's being used. He's not, generally speaking, running between the tackles. He's great outside. He's great in space where he can make people miss. See, that's the thing that most people don't understand. They just think, oh, well, he's getting X yards here. But if you're running between the tackles, it's more of, can I break a tackle against a 300-pound man or 2 or 3 that are right there in the line? Tony Pollard feasts when he gets the ball outside and he's got one-on-one and he can use that speed and, you know, give him that shake and get past him. And I think that is actually the better thing that you get with Tony Pollard. And I'm afraid if you make him that first down back every down and try and use him like Zeke Elliott, he's not going to be as effective. I agree that he needs more carries. I agree he needs to be a feature in the offense. I agree because you're going to have Michael Gallup not ready to start the season. So with all of these things that are happening, he's got to have a better role. I'm not going to dispute that. But you don't say you're the only guy out there. Now, here's an interesting take here from ESPN, kind of a breakdown of Tony Pollard versus Zeke. And let's get their take on it and then respond to it.
To wear the Cowboys star on my helmet, continue that legacy of greatness.
I'd do anything known to man to get in a Super Bowl.
How about them Cowboys?
And when you hear that, as I said, you either love or hate the Cowboy fans, and it's usually warm in my heart when I hear that.
Well, how about them OTAs with the Cowboys? Wrapped up their first week yesterday in their new look offense. Amari Cooper now gone to Cleveland. CeeDee Lamb will have to take over the new role of #1 receiver for the Cowboys, and he thinks he's ready.
It's a dream that I've always, wanted to live, and now that I'm actually living it, I feel like it's my opportunity to fulfill it. So, I'm looking at it as an opportunity, like I said, but I'm excited for myself, and I'm excited for the organization.
Nothing ever changed my expectations of Zeke, of who he is, how he leads this team, how he approaches the game. He comes in like a pro each and every day and does that. So I expect his best. When you do that and you do it with the intentfulness that he does, he's going to get better. So when Zeke healthy, I don't think there's a better back.
When Zeke's healthy, I don't think there's a better back. Those are the words from Dak Prescott, the Cowboys quarterback. Mike, do you think the roles change in the Cowboys backfield this year?
Absolutely. Tony Pollard's their best running back, and to me, it's not even close. When you think about losing somebody like Amari Cooper, especially early in the season, Laura, while Michael Gallup is dealing with an injury, I think Tony Pollard becomes even more important. He had 46 targets a year ago, and he is an explosive player. He's actually second in the NFL with yards after contact. So not only is he explosive, guys, but he's really strong. I think he's much more versatile and much more valuable this season, especially, than Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, I mean, he is definitely more versatile than Zeke Elliott is, but we also haven't seen him tote the football as much as Ezekiel Elliott has, or get worn down in the way that he has, and still have that explosiveness you need in the fourth quarter after you've been getting beat on week after week. And so I think when you look at some of those things and the amount of times these two guys touch the ball, you don't necessarily want to change that dynamic. Tony Pollard's a great change of pace. Tony Pollard is great out of the backfield. And even if you up his touches, because he didn't get, you know, there weren't a lot of games where he even got 15 touches last season, whereas Ezekiel Elliott got 15 touches in every single game. If you even want to make that closer, I understand. But now maybe Ezekiel Elliott gets a little more explosive. Ezekiel Elliott's a little more fresh, and it could help the team. But I believe that the Dallas Cowboys really need to work on figuring something out with the offensive line. Can they protect with this new offensive line? Can you invert the line of scrimmage to allow whether it's Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard to get past the line of scrimmage before being contacted? And I think they have to fix that first before figuring out their running back rotation, because we know this used to be a strength of the Dallas Cowboys. Now maybe it's become a weakness.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
Ryan, that is a great point, and probably one that the Cowboys should take upon themselves to do, is bring those carries a little bit closer. And maybe that feels like a slight to Ezekiel Elliott, but it's not at all. It would actually put him in a situation where he has fresh legs, not only throughout single games, but throughout the entirety of the season. I think it would be undermining Ezekiel Elliott to say that he doesn't have the talent to be one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL, but he gets beat so hard all the time. If you do bring those carries a little bit closer together and manage his reps the way some other sports do, perhaps in the NBA and other leagues.
I'm going to back this up for a second here. I want you to take a look at this real quick. Just watch. You see what Zeke Elliott is going against right here. Now, for all you guys right now who say that Zeke Elliott, you know, that he's done, he's washed up, you tell me where there's a hole there. You tell me where it is that Zeke Elliott is not doing his job when that is what he has to go against. And see, here's the difference. Here's the difference of Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard. What you see in all the highlights is you see Zeke in the middle going against these big guys. And see, this is the thing that you have to understand. You're going to get pounded on like a mother humper going in the middle. You've got all of the big guys there and the linebackers crashing. And when you're facing 8 men in the box, which is what teams put when you have Zeke Elliott there, it's harder to get dynamic plays. Now,
but throughout the entirety of the season,
you see what I'm talking about here? Look at this. It's not that you've got, now he's got a crease there, he's gone.
But he gets beat so hard.
Where's there a hole? Please tell me where there's a hole. Where is there a hole?
Sports do, perhaps in the NBA and
there's not one.
Leagues. Maybe that's a benefit for the Cowboys.
It's interesting. I do want to point out something on the O-line, guys, but I'm not sure if we're talking enough about that when you think about the NFC East in general and how we're looking at the Cowboys. Last season, they ranked 23rd in pass block win rate. We all remember how much the 49ers were able to pressure Dak in that wild card game in last year's playoffs. Yes. It was a problem last year. They've even lost some guys. So that, to me, is very curious. RC, I want to go back, actually, though, on Zeke. When you think about Zeke and what we expect him to be, right, it's what he's been paid and who he is. Do you think there's still more in his tank, or are we just sort of in this situation where Zeke is kind of taking some steps back?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely taking steps back. And you know what happens, though, Laura?
True. I'm not going to
When we
dispute
start to
that.
consider players elite because of their production, they're now only being compared to themselves.
Right.
Ezekiel Elliott is still a good running back in this league, but he's maybe not the best, or he's not the best running back anymore. And so now when you look at him, all we can think to ourselves is that he fell off. And then also when you pay him $90 million, people want to see you show that you are worth that type of money. So you can't be the second most productive back on your team. You can't be the back on your team where people saying the carries need to get closer. And so I think right now that's what Ezekiel Elliott is fighting. He's fighting the ghost of Ezekiel Elliott, and he's fighting those dollar signs, and he's neither of those things right now.
Yeah, it's funny because it's not like those things are necessarily his fault, but it is a big piece of the story. Guys, we got time for one more thing before we go. So let's look at Stephon.
Okay, so that's what we have right there. But the thing is, and I should probably do like a film breakdown so I can explain to people differently. You have to understand that running between the tackles is difficult. Now, Zeke Elliott is not really an outside back. He doesn't really have the speed to get around the edge. That's where Tony Pollard is different. Tony Pollard is a scat back. He's faster. He can make that guy on the edge miss and get upfield. And see, this is the misnomer. If you think that Tony Pollard can be an every down back and that we're going to be able to use him down the middle and think that he's going to stay healthy, then you don't understand football at all. That's not his MO. And remember, as much as we talk about Zeke Elliott breaking down, remember, we don't use Tony Pollard as much as we do Zeke. But he ended up having the plantar fasciitis and getting injured as well. So it can't be, and this is the thing you've got to understand is, in football, you have to account for injuries. You're going to have guys that are going to get hurt. Your running backs are going to get nicked up. I would love to see them getting closer to about the same amount of carries each and being more dynamic in the offense to keep defenses guessing, to use the 12 personnel, one running back, two tight ends, use play action, use Zeke as a decoy, use Tony Pollard, split him out as a wide receiver. Do things to make the defenses guess, be less predictable. Because here's the thing, if we go back through, as much as people say Zeke is washed up, I pointed this out several times. Zeke was not the same guy at the end of the season. His body was definitely hurting from the PCL, and we were definitely hurting on the offensive line. Forget what Pro Football Focus says that the Cowboys had the best offensive line in football. You just heard right there that the Cowboys were 23rd in success rate in pass blocking. That's not great. That sucks. And you can't look at that and say, oh, there's great holes for Zeke to run into, and he just can't hit them because he's, too slow. The offensive line stunk the second half of the season. But understand this. Los Angeles Chargers, Zeke Elliott, 16 carries, 71 yards, 4.4. It's great. Philadelphia Eagles, 17 carries, 95 yards, 5.6. Carolina Panthers, 20 carries, 143 yards, 7.2. New York Giants, 21 carries, 110 yards, 5.2. New England, 17 carries, 69 yards, 4.1 yards a carry. And Minnesota, 16 carries, 50 yards, 3.1. And then Denver, 10 carries, 51 yards, 51.3. See, the sweet spot for Zeke is about 15 to 18 carries. And when you look at those numbers for those first 8 games, that's 4.7 yards a carry. Now understand that the offense fell apart the second half because of injuries to not only Zeke and Tony Pollard, COVID with Amari Cooper, with Tyron Smith, his leg, with Dak Prescott, and the calf injury. The offense, if healthy, is okay. It just needs to be more dynamic. So that's my take on it. Of course, everybody else has their own opinion, and they should. And the great thing about it is you should try and gather as many people's opinions and as much data and statistics that you can and make your own determination on what you believe is actually right. Don't just rely on what I say or Ryan Clark says or Law Nation or Vosh. Listen to them all. Put it all together in a big pile and say, oh, maybe Vosh is right about this and maybe Mark's right about that and Law's right about this and so on, and come down with your own conclusions. All right, good people. I appreciate each and every one of you all. Shout out to everybody who has helped us out with Stewart's GoFundMe. We're still running that right now. We're leaving 2 weeks from today to go to Dallas to do some work down there. I'm thinking that we're going to be on that Friday doing a tour of the Star. My man Rock is going to be bringing barbecue, trailer, and everything else. We're going to be having a barbecue over there at Stu's house. We're going to be fixing his house. We got a lot of work to do, and I look forward to doing it because, it takes a community to take care of the community, and we all need to start trying to do things to help each other out as opposed to trying to take each other out. And with that being said, have a great Memorial weekend, and don't forget, if you see a veteran, make sure you tell them thank you. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and the only thing else I got to